Can you sit? Hi, my name's Nicole Gibbons. I'm a nurse and I work in life-saving situations pretty much most days that I'm at work. Usually the dogs knock on the back door when they want to come in, which usually means Leo, and nobody knocked, so I went to go look outside, and out of the corner of my eye I saw the orange on his collar, and when I turned to look at him, he was hanging from a tree in the back corner of the yard. You know, his feet weren't on the ground. He must have jumped and pushed off the fence, like maybe chasing a squirrel, I think, and it went and hooked underneath his collar, and I pulled him up off the tree, and he was completely lifeless. He wasn't breathing, and I just like freaked out, and I tried to rub him like a baby, like I would at work. And I was like panicking because I wasn't sure what to do. So I ran and got my car keys. So I picked him up and I threw him in the back seat of the car. And when I laid him down, I think I opened his airway because his eyes opened. As soon as he opened his eyes, it was all like, we're going. Like before I was kind of waffling. I was like, I don't know what to do. Should I leave? Should I try to get a neighbor? Once he opened his eyes, I was like, we just gotta go. A matter of time, it was minutes. We need minutes here to save his life. And I drove like 100 miles an hour, and a cop car started chasing me. He must have been sitting there and then saw me just, you know, fly by. But he had the lights and sirens. He aggressively came after me. But I was like, just go, go, go. And I got to the vets in like 3 minutes. I mean, it was amazing. And then I just stopped the car in the middle of the parking lot and jumped out. You know, I just jumped out and opened the door, grabbed him, and I yelled, you know, officer, I'll be right with you. And it ran in, and I just screamed in the vet door as I came through. It was like a movie, you know, like, I need some help over here, he's not breathing. And they just grabbed him, but I was hysterical. And then I called my partner at work, and she works in the OR doing anesthesia, and I was like, I need you right now, like Leo almost died. It was the scariest day of our life. I've never been hysterical before, and I was hysterical. But the cop came, and he came over. He was really sweet. He stopped my car and brought me my phone, and he came down and whispered in my ear, and he said, don't worry about the traffic infractions. You know, I can see you have a lot going on. Part of the lesson for that whole thing was the vet said dogs frequently get hung by their collars, that you don't really hear about it because people don't talk about it. But he actually now has a different kind of collar. It breaks away in the front, so if he were to get caught in a tree, now it just breaks off. Crazy story, but super cool ending. Look at him. About 5 months later, I went to go get my daily coffee, and due to COVID, I was waiting in my car, and they tell you when your coffee is ready. There's a guy in front of me walking up the stairs, and he slipped and fell. And I opened my door and just asked him if he was okay. He fell down the stairs pretty hard. And he was like, yeah, I'm just in pain. And then probably about a minute later, he just passed out. Yeah, fell straight back. And didn't brace, didn't do anything to fall, like he just went out. And so I ran over there, and I kind of yelled at him, like, you know, hey, are you all right? To see, like, shaking him to see if he'd wake up. And he didn't. And so I immediately looked at his chest, and his chest wasn't moving, so he wasn't breathing. So I moved on to try to find a pulse. And then at the same time, the lady from the cafe opened the door, and I yelled, call 911, we need an ambulance. And I could not find a pulse. He didn't have a palpable pulse. So I just started CPR, I started chest compressions. Yeah, young guy, thick chest, muscular, so it's very hard to compress. And my thought in my head was, you know, young man, you are not gonna die. Yeah, for real. That's what went through my mind. Like, young man, you are not gonna die on me. No, it's literally Like I felt like that, like no way. So I started pushing as hard as I could, and I realized how tiring it is, because normally I do CPR with a team of people, and it's much harder when you're doing it by yourself. In my mind, I was like, oh my God, how long is it going to take for them to get here? The people from around just started to get, not too close because of COVID, but they were around me, and a lady said, we don't know how to do CPR. How can we help? And I just said, well, watch me, and if I get tired, you might need to step in and help me. And I'm not sure how many minutes went by. It felt like forever. And then his eyes opened. I was just like, oh, thank you, God. It was like very emotional. They're waking up and you're like, oh my God, you're not gonna die. And I held, his head, and I was kind of stroking his head, and then he was trying to sit up, and I was like, no, please just lay here. Like, I just had to do CPR on you. And the ambulance then pulled up. The guy just wanted to be able to go home, and I was like, no, you gotta go get checked out. Like, I don't know what kind of cardiac event that was, but they put you on telemetry and can do some labs and make sure everything's okay. That was pretty scary, you know what I mean? Months later, I'm in the coffee shop having coffee, and I hear his voice. He was behind me with a mask on and a hat and dressed differently. I never would have known. He had a big beard. And I turned around and I said to him, I don't know how I phrased it. And then we both had a moment of recognition. And he said, oh my God, it's you. And I literally, I don't think I've ever felt like that feeling of just joy. I was so happy to know he was okay, because I didn't know how it turned out, like if they found something wrong with him or the end of the story. I didn't know how it ended. And I just, even with COVID, I just grabbed him and put him in a big hug, and he thanked me. His wife thanked me. So I was in the right place at the right time for some reason. And so I feel grateful for that. Yeah, it was quite an experience,